there, guys.
Welcome, everybody, to another episode of
I Don't Know Her,
the podcast where you talk about women you've probably never heard of, but you should have.
And you will.
I'm so excited today.
You're excited?
I am hungover as fuck. I'm not excited at all. That was like a really bad run at sarcasm.
She was fucking lying.
Yeah.
Yeah. Amanda was a little jovial and celebratory last night. Yeah.
It was not my fault.
And hey, we've all been there. Yeah. I know I have.
It's my wife's birthday weekend. That became a thing yesterday. Today is her actual birthday.
Yay.
But she was literally feeding me drinks. I was ready to go to sleep at 9:30. I was fine. And then she was like, "Oh, it's my birthday weekend. You have to have a drink." So here I am, hungover 12 hours later.
Oh, no. So I did. So anybody that's been following our podcast or has been listening up to this point, thank you, first of all. But you guys know that I've been getting sober, and I just recently got another 2 months under my belt. I did have a relapse again a little while ago. That is one thing I don't miss.
Hangovers?
Is the hangover.
Shit.
Being able to wake up in the morning. When I first got sober, I was detoxing hard. And so that first 30 days, oh my gosh, that was like a 30-day hangover. Oh. And I had the shakes. I had headaches. I was throwing up. It was terrible.
I feel so terrible right now that you're describing those symptoms and it's making me feel worse.
I'm trying to get it to stick. But we're going to push through. We're going to rally.
Yeah. You're going to get me in the finest form yet.
If you could see us right now, we look terrible. We do. I have about a 5-inch burn on my face.
She fell asleep with a curling iron on. I don't know what happened.
I was in my own head and I was thinking about God knows what. And of course, just thinking and not paying attention while curling my hair. And I burned my face.
I'm really surprised you still have hair though. If you kept it there for long enough to have that burn, I feel like I'm glad your hair's still there.
I should be missing some hair, 5 inches of hair. Ugh. So yeah, I'm all burned. She's all hungover, but we're still here.
We are coming through for you guys. Mm-hmm. We're troopers.
I feel strong.
So before we sat down to podcast today, Rita did share some information that she said she would be willing to talk about on the podcast. So I'm gonna let her chat about that.
So recently, with also getting sober, I've been trying to do some new things, some new lifestyle changes, and being open to things I wasn't open to before. And one of those was having another baby. And if there's anybody out there who's trying and hasn't succeeded, it's difficult. I've never really had to struggle. And so I'm about 10 days late today. I took a pregnancy test and I was really excited. I was thinking oh, cool. It probably happened again. And it was a big fat goose egg. It was nothing. And I was really disappointed and actually quite sad. I went to the grocery store afterwards to go pick up something and I cried in the parking lot for a little bit. And I was like, why am I sad? And me and my husband were both excited. He went and got the test and then we're both like, oh, okay. And then of course my brain is like, maybe you can't have children anymore. Maybe you waited too long. Maybe, you're not 22 is when I first got pregnant. I'm going to be 35 this year. And I was like, maybe I missed my window. What have I been doing with my life? Yeah, it just went down the rabbit hole, which was not fun. It's different just as opposed to when I was younger.
Yeah.
You're doing everything you can to not get pregnant, which basically I had the Berlin Wall, I was like, we're doing this, we're doing this, we're doing this. And then now I just thought it would be easy.
Yeah.
And it's not. And that was pretty jarring. I wasn't expecting that. And I wasn't expecting to be sad.
I wasn't expecting you to tell me that you were sad.
Yeah.
It really threw me.
Yeah.
Because Abby and I, when I shared that text that you sent with, about that you were late. Mm-hmm. I shared that with her and I was like, holy shit. And she was like, oh, that would be awful. They're not in a position right now. I mean, she would hate that. And then for you to say, we had no idea. We were so off the mark. I didn't know that you were even interested in having a kid again. And so I was like, oh, recalibrate response. Because I was like, oh, that was good, right? And you were like, no. Sad. Wow, shitty friend response.
I know. I don't know. It's like, honestly, I know that I know financially we're not in a good spot. But I wasn't financially sound when I had my first baby. I had $300 to my name and I was a kid and I didn't know what the hell I was doing. We just took it a day at a time and we made it happen and we have a wonderful son. As I'm peeing on the stick, I'm like, if I am, then, I'll just take it as it goes. I've never turned down, I guess, a fight. So I was more than willing. Yeah, a challenge. And then, to have it not turn out the way I thought it was, I was for sure, because I'm not that late usually. And now you guys know about my cycle. So it was kind of a bummer.
Yeah. I can understand that.
I don't know if we'll want to try actually, and be like diligent about it, or just kind of see what Mother Nature's got in store for us. But I don't know. We'll see.
Well, good luck with that, whichever one you choose.
Amanda, every time she tells me, "Oh, I've got to tell you something," I'm like, "You're pregnant."
But obviously, that would be very difficult for me.
She's going to be the first one in lesbian history to get pregnant.
My wife and I had for years would joke about that I was going to evolve. I won't even go what area I was like determined to evolve in. But yeah, I was like, oh yeah, one of these days I'm going to evolve and I'm going to get my wife pregnant.
Yep.
All on my own.
I think that came up in the very first conversation I had with, like, when we first met each other. And I was like, this girl's weird.
I would not be surprised if I just busted out the spermy fingers the first time we met.
Yep.
Oh shit, I already... Damn it. Okay. Lucas, cut that. I don't know, maybe.
Yeah, keep it. Okay, let's talk about our girls.
Do you want to start today?
I do.
Okay, let's hear it.
All right.
What do you got for me?
Okay, so the person I'm bringing today is Gertrude Ederle.
I don't know her. At first I thought you were going to say Gertrude Stein, and I was like, hell yeah, here for it. Lesbian poet.
So Gertrude was the first woman to swim the English Channel.
What was her last name?
I don't know if I'm pronouncing it right. Is it Ederle? Ederle? Ederle. Ederle?
I don't know. Ederle?
I thought it was Ederle.
Okay. We'll go with that one.
We'll go with that one. So I know nothing about swimming. And there was like this recent, like, I was just, I don't know, in the social media world. And there was like this little article about this girl that was in a swimming competition. She's like starting, like she's real young, like 7, 8 years old. And she had to have her foot amputated because she got injured, but they were working like on a prosthetic so she could still be able to swim. And I was like, that's kind of neat. And I was like,
that's really cool.
I was like, I wonder how long, women have been competitively swimming. And so then I went on a journey.
That's a cool topic.
So Gertrude was born October 29th, 1905 in Manhattan, New York. She was born to German immigrant parents, and her mother's name was Gertrude Anna Haberstroh.
Good, strong
name. And then Henry Ederle. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right.
Ederle, maybe?
Ederle. Ederle. That might actually be better. She was 3 out of 6 kids, and I know what that's like. I'm one of 6 as well.
But are you number 3?
No. Number 6.
I was going to say, I think you're the baby, right?
Bottom of the dog pile. Her father and her mother owned a local butcher shop. It was on Amsterdam Avenue in Manhattan, which is a pretty busy area in Manhattan. Well, Manhattan, period. Her father taught her and her siblings to swim in the Highlands in New Jersey, where the family owned a summer cottage. They were real simple, working class, honest, hardworking people. From what I read about her growing up, it was just go to work, come home, take care of the family, go to school, clean living, little vacations here and there. It just seemed very picturesque, which was nice.
Yeah, it sounds like a nice life.
It was a very nice life. Gertrude, which everyone called her Trudy, she didn't take to swimming right away. She actually didn't learn how to swim till she was 9 years old. She was a little scared of the water.
What? I guess I can't remember. I mean, I was in swim lessons when I was like 3 or 4.
I think
but that's
I started swimming around 5.
I mean, my mom worked And it was one of the only things that could like occupy me in the summer.
Oh, okay.
So I did a lot of swimming up until I had a whole bunch of ear, nose, throat problems. Like had to have hearing aids and stuff like that.
Well, Gertrude did get the measles when she was a child, which affected her hearing, which will come up a little bit later in her story. So
Putting
yeah,
that
9
one in the
years
pocket.
old. Put that one in the bucket. 9 years old, she learns to swim. And it wasn't until she was 12 that she learned it's a proper form in the water. So I think, breaststrokes, backstroke. Once she learned, though, she loved the water. She loved recreational swimming at the local swim clubs. And eventually she wanted to give competitive swimming a try. The sport had become popular when she was a preteen because the evolution of the bathing suit. They were like, oh, these ladies can't really move wearing a potato sack. Which is awesome. Trudy started training at the Women's Swimming Association, the WSA, at 12 years old. The director that was there, her name was Charlotte Epstein, had already urged the Amateur Athletic Union to endorse women's swimming as a sport. And she pressured the AAU to change that dress code they had to wear stockings when they swam.
Oh my God.
Could you
Awful.
imagine?
Ew, that would feel like, and we're talking like stockings then. We're like, whoa.
Yeah.
Gross.
And then they had to wear layers and, you're totally, and I'm imagining they were tight because the way they look like they had structure in them almost.
Ew.
That's a freaking bathing suit. I recently went boating last year, and I didn't bring a bathing suit, and my coworker was with me, and she was like, oh, I dare you to jump in the water in your clothes. And I was wearing jeans and a flannel, and I did it because it was $50.
Oh,
and
I would do that for $50.
Yes. I never got the $50, by the way.
What?
I know.
Shank that person.
But I was so weighed down. Like I couldn't even put my leg up on the stair to get back in the water. And then I thought, this is how I die. I was like, shit. But I couldn't imagine having to swim in something like that. She pressured the AAU to, and this is a quote from her, allow the swimmers to remove their stockings for competition as long as they quickly put on a robe once they were out of the water.
Oh, we dare not see bare legs.
No.
We might all have spontaneous boners.
Let us all worry about how the men feel. So Trudy swam there in her early years, and her dues were $3 a year to swim at this swim club. I know. Swimming lessons now are like $250.
Yeah,
I've looked
so
into
much
it.
Money.
We taught our son how to swim ourselves because we're like, yeah, we're not paying for that. And it was a small indoor pool that she was swimming in Manhattan. The bathing suit was not her only advantage by being part of that club. They were creating new and faster ways of swimming techniques. Well, at the program, the WSA created the American crawl.
I don't know what that is.
Me neither.
Okay, swimming aficionados, you're going to have to inform us.
Oh, I'm going to explain to you what
good.
it is.
Oh,
yes.
good.
So it's a variation of the Australian crawl. One of the coaches there, his name was Lewis Hanley, said the Australian crawl, it's a way of moving through the water in which swimmers, they do 3 kicks. They turn their head to the side and take a breath and do a scissor kick to keep propelling themselves forward.
Oh, okay.
That's the Australian crawl. He thought it could be improved. So he switched it to 3 kicks to an 8-beat variation. So that's more than double the kicks.
So it was faster.
It was faster. It was the 8-beat variation, which they called the American crawl, because I guess screw the Australians. I don't know. So Coach Hanley and Epstein made the New York female swimmers someone to really compete with new strategy, new techniques. And using this technique, Trudy, at 12 years old, she set the first world record in the 880-yard freestyle, becoming the youngest world record holder in swimming.
Wow, that's impressive.
And one thing about Trudy and her family, they said that they were very muscly, very stout Germans. So and I've seen pictures of her. She's got an amazing muscly figure. And I could just imagine that she was stronger than shit.
Yeah. Probably got those swimmers' broad shoulders and whatnot.
Yeah. She's pretty, she good looking. So continuing her training in competitive swimming there, she set 8 more world records after that. 7 of them in 1922. She was only 17.
Wow.
Yeah. In total, Trudy would hold 29 U.S. and world records from 1921 to 1925.
I can't believe I don't know who this is.
She's brilliant.
I would have thought that, like, I watch the Olympics every year. I love the Summer Olympics, and I love the swimming events to watch anyway. I don't swim. I don't recall ever hearing her.
I have never heard of her either.
Huh.
And that's actually where Trudy was on her way to. She went to the Olympics.
Oh.
So Trudy goes to the 1924 Summer Olympics in Paris. She's 19 years old. She won a gold medal as a member of the first place U.S. team in the 4x100 meter. And I'm not too familiar with what they do, like in what, like how they compete and stuff. Like in track, you know, you've got the relays and you've got hurdles and you've got, so I'm imagining it's like the same thing. There's different versions and different lengths.
Yeah, totally. And in swimming, the relay is really fun to watch.
Together with her teammates, and I want to mention these ladies as well, Euphrasia Donnelly, Ethel Lackey, Marichin Wehislow, I think she's German. They set a new world record of 4 minutes, 58.8 seconds in the event final. Trudy, competing as a single, she got the bronze for finishing the women's 100-meter freestyle and the women's 400-meter freestyle. 400 meters is forever and a day in my mind.
A lot.
That's a lot. She was supposed to win gold in all 3 of her events. People were kind of like, oh, she's this, amazing new young prodigy. She's amazing at swimming. She's going to sweep it. She's going to take all gold. So she got her gold with her team, but she got bronze on her own. For her, she said that was one of the biggest disappointments in her career.
Yeah. Did she just have an off day, or?
I don't know.
Wow, that sucks.
Still, though, that American team altogether, not just the swim team, but all the Americans that participated, brought home 99 medals in the Paris Olympics. They came home to a ticket tape parade, which is like, you ever have like one of those dreams where you just want to win? And like you come and you're like driving on the convertible and there's all the confetti falling from the sky. I've had dreams like that. And that's a ticket tape parade, right? There's like marching bands and...
Yeah. It's just a big parade.
Yeah. So after the Olympics, Trudy becomes a professional swimmer. So she's now getting paid, which is awesome.
Yeah.
And I like how she's a professional at 19 years old.
Get that money.
Get that money. Her first professional swim was in 1925, where she swam 22 miles from Battery Park to Sandy Hook.
Holy shit.
In 7 hours and 11 minutes.
Wow, that is impressive.
This was a record time for both male and female.
Nice.
Yeah.
I love that.
She held that record for 81 years.
Who's the person who ruined that?
Kind of funny. It was broken by an Australian swimmer.
Was she doing the American crawl?
I don't know.
Probably not. Not for that long, anyway.
Tammy Van Weiss, she broke that record 81 years later. So she decides after this swim that she's going to try to swim the English Channel. If you're in a straight line, it's 22 miles. The ocean is not a straight line, so
No.
35.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's so long
I know.
to be in the water. That terrifies me, actually. Like, the idea of running 35 miles is like, okay, but you can like stop and take a break. Mm-hmm. You can walk.
You can
for
be
a
picked
while.
up by an ambulance.
But if you're swimming, I
You're out
mean,
there.
you can't take a break. Mm-mm. I mean, you still are constantly moving. It's not like you can like sit down, have a breather.
Nope.
You're stuck out there. And like, if you get super, super tired, you could die.
You could drown.
Like, fuck.
Fact.
This is way riskier. Land is better, guys. Land is better. Water is scary.
Water is scary. So swimming the English Channel had only been done by 5 people before her. And those were all men. And dozens of people tried. Dozens upon dozens. And they all failed. Because it's just one of the hardest, most treacherous, against the elements swim that there is.
Isn't it like really choppy water? Like
Super.
It's really crazy resistance.
So her old club, the WSA, ends up sponsoring her to do the swim. And they sponsor her and another swimmer named Helen Wainwright. Helen gets injured, though, and she has to pull out. So it's only Trudy. And so Trudy travels over to England.
To England. Yeah.
So she trains with this guy, Jabez Wolf. He's a swimmer who attempted to swim the channel 22 times.
And he's never made
And
it?
he's never made it.
Oh, bummer, buddy. I mean, kudos to you for keep on trying, I guess.
I guess. So Wolf says that Trudy's pace is too quick, and he tries to slow her down. He says that she would never last, especially as a woman, if she swam at that pace. The training with him did not go well. The first attempt for her to swim the channel on August 18th in 1925, she gets disqualified.
Why?
Because of this guy.
Oh, no.
Yeah. They usually have people in boats, like kind of just behind or on the side of. They're not close to the swimmers, but they're just there, I think, just in case they go under or whatever.
Yeah. I mean, they got to save people.
Yeah. And then there's other people in there who are other swimmers to do that. So there's this swimmer who was supposed to keep her company in the water. His name was Ishak Helmley. Her coach orders him to go recover her from the water. He claims that Trudy was drowning.
Oh.
Yeah.
But was she?
According to Trudy and to witnesses, she was not drowning. She was doing the resting float, which is face down, but it's to regain some energy. It's like a standard practice.
Okay.
You can do it on your face. Like if you're doing breaststroke, you just relax and you wait and then you go back at it. It's not like you can't turn your head and take a breath. And then you can do on your back as well. So she was pretty bitter about that. She was like, fuck you, Wolf. And
did she fire him?
Cut him loose. So she switches coaches and she starts training with Bill Burgess. He actually did swim the channel in 1911.
Yeah, I think go with the guy who's done it. Go with that guy.
He might know. So before the swim, Trudy makes a contract with both the New York Daily News and the Chicago Tribune. She was like, you can have my story because I'm going to do this shit.
Yeah, so they got exclusives.
Yeah. So yeah, if she succeeded, the money would pay for some of her expenses and give her a nice chunk to live on. It also gave her a bonus in exchange for exclusive rights, yes, to her personal story. So the day of the swim is August 6th, 1926, almost exactly a year later. They grease you up. Yeah, to save you from the cold. It looks like she's covered in whipped cream.
Oh.
Like it's heavy, heavy grease.
Is it like lard?
It looks lardish. Like if you've ever seen, lard is kind of white and creamy like that. It looks like that. And there's and I'll include it in our social media, but she's like standing there and this person's like putting grease on her. But then there's like this dog that's like right next to her, like kind of sniffing.
If it's lard, that dog was having a heyday.
Yes. She wore motorcycle goggles to keep her eyes dry and her vision clear. They sealed it with paraffin so that it was watertight.
That's wax.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I mean,
so once they're on, they're on.
Yeah. That's
gross.
Probably painful to come off.
There were a bunch of bookies that showed up to take bets, mainly against her, because they all thought she wouldn't be able to do it. The odds were 22-1. Which went down to 7-1 against her to never make it to England. So I kind of was wondering why she's swimming in August.
Yeah, I was like, is this like a yearly thing? Is that like the only time you can do it?
I researched a little bit about swimming the channel, and it has to do with the moon's position to the earth.
Oh.
It's actually like a physical thing with the water.
Science.
Yeah. So the moon and obviously the sun create different strengths in tide. So the smaller tides are called neap tides, and the bigger ones are called spring tides.
I don't know any of this information.
Me neither, but we're learning something.
I feel so smart right now. I'm going to say something next week. I'll be like, oh, is that a neap tide?
Or is that a spring tide?
Oh, I prefer the neap tides, personally.
I won't go on your boat if it's not neap tide season. So historically, swimmers have always made their attempts at neap tides, which has to do with this particular month and season.
Okay.
Yeah. It's supposed to be like, it's going to reduce the effect of the wind, blurdy, blurdy, blur. And also, very important, it reduces the risk of the swimmer missing the land target of Cape Grease nets in France. So,
Okay.
yeah. The way the land masses are, they're kind of diagonal from each other. And as the tide is going north, you're moving to the right.
Yeah.
So you
The
could
tide is moving you. So
definitely.
you could go way off mark.
Yep. The swim starts at Cape Gris-Nez in France at 7:00 in the morning.
I'm sure that's the pronunciation.
Yeah. Gris-Nez.
I'm sure that the French are just happy with that.
How would you pronounce it?
I have no idea. I have never taken French.
Oh, so 2 days earlier, in this same water she's about to get in, 2 fishermen caught 2 6-foot sharks out of the water while they were fishing.
Oh, yikes. See, that's the other thing. That's the other thing when you're in open water. Mm-hmm. Gross. There are things that could like eat you and kill you and maybe just like nibble your toes, but I don't like that.
Also, there was massive pockets of jellyfish that other swimmers had ran into. And if y'all don't know, jellyfish freaking paralyze you and it stings and it burns and it hurts.
Yeah, gross.
So you can't really swim.
I don't, that's why the ocean freaks me out. Like, I can't deal with it. I don't want a jellyfish.
Yeah.
Do you know that there are freshwater jellyfish?
No.
Yeah.
That's terrifying.
There's a lake around here. No, is it around here? I can't remember. Oh, no. Is it in Montana maybe? I just remember I was teaching elementary at the time, and some teacher had like a lake place and brought in a freshwater jellyfish
that's
in a jar.
Cool.
And it was really neat. I mean, it was tiny.
Oh.
They're not going to be like the ocean
big
ones
ocean
that
ones.
kill you.
So she comes ashore at Kingstown, Kent after swimming 14 hours and 34 minutes, 35 miles. And she beat the best time, by 2 hours.
Nice.
I know. I was so excited when I heard that. I was like, not only did you win, you really won.
Yeah, you kicked ass.
So upon coming onto shore, she was swollen, she was weak, and she was suffering from the elements.
Oh, yeah.
She sustained terrible injuries to her ears.
Oh,
so she
no.
already had a problem because of the measles that she had when she was a child. This pretty much, doctors said that there was nothing they could do to treat it. She lost her hearing.
All of it?
Pretty much.
Oh.
Yeah, she's 20 years old when she did this.
Wow, that's...
Yeah. Very young.
That's hard.
And very tragic. So she obviously was very upset, but she knew that she had to do this swim. She said, to quote, it had to be done. This was her goal. She did it, but she made a really big sacrifice for it. She returns home. She gets another ticker tape parade.
Yeah.
Yeah.
2 parades in one lifetime. That's great.
Held in Manhattan. More than 2 million people came to show up to support her.
Wow.
I know.
That's a huge crowd.
And she was invited to meet President Coolidge, which was nice. She got an audience with the president. She started doing personal appearances for pay because I think now that she was disabled, she couldn't really do much more.
Yeah,
she was still
but
swimming.
It's all in her ears, right? Like,
yeah.
So, I mean, she could probably still swim, but she was probably like just swimming casually now. I mean, she'd reached her big goal. She's already been in the Olympics. She set all the records. What else is she really going to do?
True. Well, she does her personal appearances for pay. She goes to... Oh, she went and played herself in a movie called Swim Girl Swim.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
cool. So that's what I'm wondering. Okay, so if she's doing this, she's like doing paid appearances and whatever. She must not have been completely deaf. She probably was just hard of hearing.
Yeah. They said it was about 80%.
Okay.
She tours... So Trudy tours with a vaudeville circuit for a little bit. Yeah, like, here's the amazing Swim Girl Swim. She does get engaged.
Okay.
And this is kind of... No.
Oh, no.
So her doctors are saying, she goes and says, is there any chance my hearing can at all get better or can we do something? And they say no. And they said it would be like her doctors actually told her that it would be hard for her to keep a relationship.
Yeah.
To not be able to communicate with the man. It would be a hardship on him. Right?
Also, what?
Yeah.
Like, first off, doctors, that's not your fucking business.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So Trudy goes to her fiance and says, "This is going to be a hardship. I don't want this to be a burden on you. Do you think it'd be a burden?" And he agrees, and he breaks off the engagement.
Well, goodbye.
Yeah.
Don't let the door hit you on the way out, asshole.
I know. I was like, fuck that. So the Great Depression hits and pretty much diminishes all of her financial awards that she had.
Oh, yeah.
After that, she has a fall down the steps of her apartment building in 1933.
Baby girl.
Which twists her spine and leaves her bedridden for years.
Oh, no.
I know.
This took a turn.
Yeah. So Trudy is able to recover from the spinal injury. And so she's trying to find something that she wants to do that's going to be satisfying. So what she ends up doing is she starts teaching deaf children how to swim.
Oh, awesome. I love her.
Isn't that great?
That's really great.
Yeah. So she's learning how to communicate with, not being able to hear. And then she just ends up putting it forward, which is amazing.
I have friends who are in the disability community, and they talk about like it's important not to be like, oh, it's so sad, because a lot of people, it's just like that's who you are, and they don't.
I'm not a sad
and I don't feel sad about my I have a disability because I'm hard of hearing, which was related to the earlier thing we were talking about, like why I had to stop swimming and had hearing aids and all that stuff. So yeah, I do recognize that, and I wouldn't want to make people feel bad. Like, I think you can do everything within your power and your abilities. And I think it's really cool that she's recognizing that and making sure that these kids aren't held back, because it's society that holds people back.
Exactly. I could not agree with that more. So she does keep on teaching. She never does marry. She ended up living in a retired person's home or an old people's home because she didn't have a partner. She didn't have any children. She ended up passing away November 30th, 2003 in New Jersey. I know.
That was not that long ago.
That was not that long ago. I graduated high school in 2003.
Crazy.
I know. She lived to be 98 years old.
Wow.
Yeah. Her record stood for swimming the channel at that time until Florence Chadwick swam the channel in 1950 in 13 hours and 20 minutes.
Okay.
But I mean, that's still quite...
So what year did she said it in 1926?
26.
And then the next one was 1950?
1950.
So it kept for a while.
Yeah, it did. She was inducted into the International Swimming Hall of Fame as an honor swimmer in 1965. She was inducted into the Women's Sports Hall of Fame in 1980. She was also inducted into the National Women's Hall of Fame in 2003. There is an annual swim that's hosted at the New York Battery Park to Sandy Hook. That first swim that she did, that was 22 miles. And it's called it might be Ederle, the Ederle swim, in memory of Trudy. And it follows the course that she swam. There's also a recreation center dedicated to her called the Gertrude Ederle Recreation Center in Manhattan.
Nice.
I know. So I was really taken by this story. It's like the things that women can accomplish
and
physically.
She overcame a lot.
Yeah.
Like,
First of all, not even liking the water.
Yeah. That's the first obstacle.
Yeah. To go into the Olympics.
Yeah. And like to have those injuries, that fall, that's scary.
A spinal injury.
Oh, yeah. That's really terrifying.
Devastating. And especially as a person who probably loves to be physical.
Yeah, to be
to
active.
Have an injury that puts you out for years, that would mentally, for myself, destroy me.
Oh, the depression would be just
awful,
overwhelming. And to overcome all of that and then still, do good things and live a very long life. That's incredible. Very cool.
Made me be like, I want to swim now. I want to learn. And it's also like a topic I never would have really gone for. Just yeah. So I was really excited
you're super familiar with. That's cool.
Yeah.
Well, I have quite a lady to tell you about today.
Alrighty.
I'm going to tell you about Christina Vasa.
I don't know her.
Queen of Sweden.
I don't know her.
So Christina was born December 8th, 1626, to the Swedish king Gustavus Adolphus.
Ooh.
And he was married to a German woman named Maria Eleonora. She was descended from royalty as well. So it was like one of those things where you are trying to have like a country to country relationship. So you marry off your kids kind of thing.
Yeah.
So they had this pretty much arranged marriage. They had 2 daughters before Christina. One was a stillborn in 1620, and the other one was the first Princess Christina, which I was like, you guys really like that name, I guess. And that baby was born in 1623 and died the next year.
Oh, geez.
So Princess Christina, eventually Queen Christina, was really a joy to her father specifically. Mm. When she was born, everyone in the room initially thought that Christina was a boy because she was, quote, hairy and screamed with a strong, hoarse voice. It's like, that just sounds like a baby to me. After they realized their mistake, they were like, oh, actually, it's a girl. The king, so people were fucking embarrassed. They were like, oh my God, I can't believe we did that. But the king didn't think it was embarrassing. He said, she'll be clever. She has made fools of us all already.
Oh, that is awesome. I love that.
And she was very close to her dad. He really doted on her and loved her a lot. Like, just thought she was the shit. And the mother was not the case. Christina's mother had wanted a boy and was disappointed to have a daughter. And she actually, they said, injured Christina on a number of occasions.
Ooh.
And she was very cold towards Christina, so she just didn't really have this like mother-daughter relationship. And when she was a child, when Christina was a child, Sweden was at that moment in time involved in the 30 Years' War, which was a war between the Protestants and Catholics in Europe. And Sweden was a Protestant state. So this 30 Years' War was happening, and so her father would have to leave, the king would have to leave to go to battles. So he was frequently not there. And when he was gone, this is when Christina would often be injured or put in dangerous situations under suspicious circumstances.
That is creepy as fuck.
Yeah. It sounds to me like the mom has some kind of mental problems. Mm-hmm. And it's weird. She's real weird.
After losing 2 children already, she might be mentally unbalanced.
Yeah, she was definitely not all there. And, you know,
that makes you think about what about the baby that died? Do you think she killed it?
I don't know. Ugh. Oh, that's a possibility.
That is a very big possibility.
I mean, I'm going to get to some stuff where that woman is certifiably not well.
Okay.
And it makes me think, you know, about that joke, you know, about how royals way back in the day would like marry their brothers and sisters, or like cousins and stuff. I was like, maybe she's...
Oh, yeah.
Because she's from incest.
She's touched.
She's touched in the head from incest. So she was in line to be the next ruler of Sweden. So Christina's father wanted to make sure that she had the best education possible. And so he ordered that she be educated, quote, like a boy.
Oh.
That meant that she received...
An actual education?
Yes, an incredible education, the likes of which I couldn't even imagine. So she had like actual philosophers as teachers. Like,
wow.
She ended up, by the time she was like a teenager, she could read, write, and speak in 8 languages.
Yikes.
Swedish, German, Dutch, Danish, French, Italian, Arabic, and Hebrew.
Wow.
Right? That's impressive.
Very.
In fact, I read somewhere that she loved to study. She would get up really, really early in the morning, and she would study for at least 10 hours a day.
Wow.
So she was really into being learned. And she also was really into art and literature and all of this stuff. So that's going to come up later.
She just sounds like a lover of information.
Yeah. And she was a tomboy. She showed a lot of interest in boys' sports and games. So her dad was like, all right, let's lean in. Mm-hmm. They taught her how to fence.
Wow.
And horse ride. And she also went bear hunting.
This is impressive.
Yeah, she's kind of an impressive lady. When she was 6 years old, her father died in battle.
Oh, no.
So it's 1632. Before his death, he had said, if anything happens to me, I want my sister to take care of my daughter, not my wife.
Okay. So he knew.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm like, if your husband is like, I don't want my daughter to be with her mother, like, you did something wrong.
Yeah.
You've got problems. So I thought this was crazy. So after the death of the king, Maria Eleonora was like not having that. She did not want this sister-in-law to be so she banned her from the castle, from the palace. But when the king's orders were ordered, like she can't defy the king's orders. Mm-hmm. So the guy who was governing Sweden at the time, his name was, let me find his name, Axel Oxenstierna.
Yeesh.
I know. It's quite the name.
Very.
He's basically like, I gotta take care of this lady. So this is the weirdest thing. This is the mother.
Okay.
So when the body came, right, she demanded that it be an open coffin. So like it's in this like viewing room type thing in the palace, right? Mm-hmm. And that's normal. Like they give you a couple of days of viewing or whatever, and then you bury the body, right? Mm-hmm. Well, she refused to let them bury the body because she said she didn't want him buried until she was dead, so she could be buried with him. Yeah. So this is 1620, whatever. There's no embalming. There's no like preservation. So the body is rotting in this room, in this coffin, with the coffin open. And she like goes in there and is like patting the body.
Ew.
And the people in the palace are like, this is fucking weird. And
okay, bye.
So
I quit.
I think it was like 18 months.
Oh my gosh.
Of a rotting body. And they finally were like, we're burying this guy. I'm sorry.
And was Christina still there?
Yeah.
That's like a form of torture, too.
I know. If you were close to your father.
I think that's specifically to fuck with her.
I don't know if it was or if she was just,
I don't know,
loony bins, because
that seemed pretty like, I know you're close with your father and you're left with me as a psychopath, but here, I'm just going to keep his dead body around for you to look at. Yeah, no.
She was legitimately not right. And everybody knows this. And because of her history of mistreating Christina and because of this weird behavior with the body, mm-hmm. they were like, you need to go. So Axel and the royal council actually exile her from the country.
Wow.
Yeah. So the mom is out of the picture. Her rights to Christina have been terminated. And so for the next 3 years, things go well for Christina because her aunt, the sister, mm-hmm. and uncle come into the palace and they take care of her. And she was really close to her aunt, and her aunt really loved taking care of her. And then 3 years later, in 1638, her aunt died.
Oh.
So the royal council has to decide like what to do. They know that she's still only like 8 years old. Mm-hmm. She has to have some kind of mother, to take care of her. So they don't want, I thought this was really odd. They were like, we don't want her to get attached to a single woman.
Hmm?
Yeah. So instead, we're going to split up the job of mothering her by 4 people.
Okay.
So 4 people are taking care of her, 4 different women. Like 2 of them are like I don't know, it was like they split up the jobs. It was like 2 of them were like handmaiden type things. Mm-hmm. And then the other 2 were like the cooking, I don't know. It was very strange. So 4 women are taking care of her and their plan worked. She did not become attached to a single woman.
Okay.
Which is kind of not good.
Yeah.
So until she was old enough to technically rule, Axel Oxenstierna is governing the country. And he was also educating and sort of grooming Christina for the role of ruler. And she starts by the age of 14 to attend meetings and give advice and input into the running of the country and the military and things like that. She's at this point actually ruling. She hasn't had her coronation, but she's ruling. Mm-hmm. She starts ruling the country, and they're still in that 30 Years' War, right? And it's been going on her entire life. So against the advice of Oxenstierna, she begins the work of pulling Sweden out of the 30 Years' War. And he was like, no, you can't do that. It's going to ruin everything. But it ended up being a really good thing. So she gets Sweden out, and it ushers in an era of peace for the country. But because of the 30 Years' War, it's called that for a reason.
Yeah.
It's been a long fucking war, and it's been very expensive. So Sweden, like the people in Sweden are like financially devastated, and it's causing a lot of uproar, right? Like people are pissed.
Angst, yeah.
And so they're on the brink of a civil war. And Queen Christina is able to avert that civil war. She's able to like fix it. Becomes well known though. Like one of the reasons why this civil war almost happens is because she is really extravagant. She loves like wealth and showing it. And like starts giving away royal pieces of land. So the aristocrats, or whatever you want to call them, went from like 300 families and under her rule up to 600.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. So she like makes all of these people really wealthy, but then the like underclass, like, undercast.
The little people suffer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're not getting anything. So that was kind of the problem. She also created what she called a court of learning. And she was a big patron of art and literature and theater and music. So she would actually, whenever they would, whatever battles and go into places, she would order all of their art and stuff to be brought to her, like famous works of art and things. So she had this enormous collection of valuable art, and it was extensive.
Yikes.
So she also would bring people to Stockholm to teach her and things. So one of the people that she actually brought to Stockholm was, do you know who Descartes is? The philosopher? Super famous, like leading philosopher. She brings him there, and he's supposed to open an academy.
Oh.
But he ends up dying.
Oh, jeez.
Of pneumonia. And I guess they didn't even get along. Like, once he got there, she was like, I don't like you.
Oh, no. And then, boom, dead.
So she's been ruling this whole time, but she doesn't actually get officially coronated until 1650, and she's at the age of 24 now. And she allowed her mom to attend the ceremony.
Oh.
Which I thought was generous of her.
Very.
Because I wouldn't.
No, you know that she'd probably show up with like a birdcage on her head and act all fucking crazy.
So the mom was really pissed about the termination of her rights.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, was that because, she really did care? No, you know why she was pissed?
Why?
She thought that she wasn't going to get any money anymore.
Oh, that she was going to be taken care of.
So they gave her an allowance that they sent to her. So
then she was like, okay, bye.
Yeah. She didn't seem real broken up over it. She did visit, though. It did say that she visited. So Queen Christina also was an amateur actress.
Oh.
So she would have like plays come and productions, and she would perform in them.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's kind of...
It's a little bit vain.
It's a little self-centered, yeah. Come look at me in my play.
She also believed that there needed to be written words that updated people on the ongoings of the world. And so she created the first Swedish newspaper.
Wow.
Called the Regular Mail Times. Well, it's called something different in Swedish, but I was not going to write that down or read it. I was not going to say that correctly. And it is still currently the oldest published newspaper in the world.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
So this is around this time is when she gets the nickname Minerva of the North.
Minerva.
And Minerva is a goddess.
Okay.
So I'm not really sure what they were trying to say about that, like, but it seemed like it was a nice nickname, like she was
Okay.
well respected. However, so it was rumored at this point, this is very weird, but it's royalty. Her cousin Carl Gustav was like really infatuated with her and thought she was just amazing and wonderful.
Oh God.
So it is rumored that they were romantically involved.
Yuck.
In fact, I read one thing where it said like they were secretly engaged and then decided not to marry. But I was like, ew, it's your first cousin. It's not even like your, second or third. Like,
no,
it's
that's
a first
straight
cousin.
up family.
That's gross. She is close to him at the very least.
Yeah.
And she actually names him her successor in line for the throne.
Okay. That's dangerous, though.
However,
that's like, I'm going to buy a house with my boyfriend and I'm going to put his name on the deed. It's like,
however, Christina was later in life writing a memoir, and in her memoir, she said that she felt, quote, an insurmountable distaste for marriage. So she was never going to get married.
Yeah.
She didn't like the idea of it.
Not her jam.
So she again, an insurmountable distaste for marriage and for all things that females talked about and did.
What does that mean?
She didn't like womanly things.
Okay.
Whatever it was that women talked about in 1626. She was not into it.
She wasn't having it.
And of course, she was always studying, right? And she had thought nothing of grooming herself. So she would like go to bed really late, wake up super early in the morning, never comb her hair, throw on some men's shoes, shuffle around the palace.
Sounds like me.
She became really well known for her unruly hair.
Wow.
Because she didn't comb it ever.
Yeah. That is crazy.
And it was curly. It looked curly, at least. I mean, it's in paintings, right? Because there were no photos at that point. But yeah, it looks like her hair was curly and it just was like everywhere all the time. Completely unkempt. She did, however, become close with one woman. Her name was Ebba Spar, whom she had nicknamed Belle. And Ebba frequently shared Christina's bed. And they wrote each other passionate letters.
Ooh!
She even introduced Ebba as her, quote, bedfellow.
Ooh.
To the English ambassador.
Oh my
like
gosh.
This diplomat's coming to visit, and she's like, "This is my bedfellow."
This is my side piece. I call her Belle.
Yeah. And they continued to have a close, passionate friendship, whatever, for a long time. Because of this, many speculate that Queen Christina was likely a lesbian. Duh.
Really?
No shit, Sherlock. Probably was a lesbian. Oh, I don't know. She's a tomboy and she wears men's clothing and doesn't care about her hair and has a distaste for all things feminine and also sleeps with a woman. So here's where we're going to get to the controversy.
Oh gosh. That's not even the controversy?
Oh, no, they didn't care.
Okay.
So she has been drawn since she was a child to the ideas of Catholicism. Remember, they were in that 30 Years' War and they were fucking Protestants, man.
Oh no.
So she is secretly converting to Roman Catholicism. And that obviously is putting her at odds with everything in her country.
With her nation, yeah.
Yes. It was fought over religion, right? Like,
yeah.
She's doing this conversion. It becomes kind of somewhat public enough that she's like, this is who I am. I don't want to change. So she, after 10 years of ruling, abdicates her throne.
Oh, geez.
Yeah. So she's like, I'm done. I'm going to go. I'm done. So her cousin, dude from earlier, cousin lover, was crowned king on June 6th, 1654. And that very day, she left the country and it was dangerous for her because now she's Catholic, right? Mm-hmm. So she disguises herself as a man to get through all of these countries she needs to go through. Also, she doesn't want people to recognize her because she's still like royalty. She's not the ruler, but she's still the royal family.
Yeah.
During this time she ruled, though, it's important to say that she did create the first countrywide school ordinances. So she created like rules about schools.
Educational programs.
She encouraged growth and patronage of science and literature. She gave individual towns, like the ideas of towns, more privileges, more allowances and rules that they could make on their own. And she also increased manufacturing, trade, and mining in the country.
Wow.
But she was this real super extravagant person. When she abdicated, she moved to Rome to be with the Pope.
Okay.
And initially the Pope was really excited to have her because she was so famous, and it was like a score on
then
the
this
Catholic point.
unruly lesbian shows up and he's like, fuck.
Yeah, when she shows up, he's like, oh, she's too extravagant. Like this, you can't be such an attention seeker all the time. So she wasn't in Rome for very long, though, before she started to get the itch to rule again. So she hatches this plan. So she's in Rome, right? And I'm not real up on 17th century European stuff. So
what?
Shocked, I know, right? So what I could figure out was Naples was Spanish, and the French and the Spanish were not getting along. So she was creating a plan with the French to have her seize the throne of Naples and become its queen. And then Naples and France would be able to work together to defeat Spain. That's as far as I could really understand it. So she has this plan, and with the help of the French, this is what's going to happen. They're going to do this, and it's all ready to go into motion until...
Oh, no.
A particularly gruesome act. So there's this man named Marchesa Gian Rinaldo Monaldeschi.
We're so good at pronouncing names today.
I mean, it's a 4-word
Jeez.
name. It's too long. So he was a stable guy. He worked for her. He was one of the courtiers or whatever. And he was an equerry. So he worked in the stables. He was like the head horse guy.
Okay.
And he has obviously been around and heard about this plan and has betrayed her to the people in Naples, like to the leader or whatever. So they know what the plan is. So she has suspicions that this guy has done this. So she seizes all of his stuff and goes through it and finds that he did in fact spill the beans.
Yeah.
And so she has him come to her room, and she summoned him and then confronted him. And she was like, "What punishment do you think you deserve?" And he was like, I guess I need to die."
Oh gosh.
So she has another servant in the room. His name was Santinelli. She has him stab him right then and there in the fucking room.
Jeez.
Which was like not how shit was supposed to be done. So she, and it doesn't go well. Like the guy,
you know those stabbings that do go well? This was not one of them.
Nobody knew that this guy was wearing a coat of mail, like chainmail.
Oh no.
So when he stabs him, it injures him, but it doesn't
kill him.
So then the guy, the equerry guy is like trying to get out. He's like running, and this guy's chasing him. So like running around in the fucking adjoining room, and he's trying to stab him.
This is like a Monty Python sketch or something.
I know, it kind of felt that way when I was reading it. And he finally gets a good stab to the throat.
Okay.
And
that'll do you.
And it kills him. But this becomes a fucking problem.
Yeah.
People are very upset that this has happened. They feel like she just didn't do the right thing. And when they're like, what is your excuse? How can you justify this? She was like, I'm royal.
No.
That's the whole justification.
No. No. Sorry, Christina.
It's like when you were a kid, you know it, and your parents were like, you can't do that. Why? Because I said so.
Because I'm a grown up.
Because I'm your mom. Yeah, basically, I'm royalty. She left Rome for a while. Like, there's a whole lot of stuff that happens that I was like, this is boring. I'm not going to talk about that. Basically, she is back and forth all around. And she tries one more time to become a ruler.
Not giving it up.
She tries to become the ruler of Poland.
What?
Yeah. And it doesn't work out. And she was like, good. I didn't really want to do that. I really want to just go back to Rome.
Wow. Okay.
And she becomes like, over the course of her lifetime, all of the popes love her.
Okay.
Like she becomes like really important to them. And she meets a man named Cardinal Decio Azzolino. A cardinal.
Okay.
So, priest.
Yeah. Higher up, too.
There are rules.
Yeah.
They don't care. They become lovers.
Oh.
And they both become very invested in the church's politics. So they're sort of moving machinery in the background of the Roman Catholic Church, which at this time is incredibly corrupt.
I was going to say, yeah.
You know, they're talk about, you know, stealing from the poor. Like the Catholic Church was awful. It's still kind of awful. Hello, pedophiles. So they become involved in church politics and end up actually changing some really big things. And they sort of try to maneuver Azzolino to like get this like really important position, but that doesn't end up working out. And
she's a little bit of a climber, isn't she?
Yeah, I think so. But she's and throughout this entire time, she's like, she goes from having money to having no money to having money to having no money. Like she can't, because she's always like, oh, I have money, I'm gonna spend it all. And then she's like, I don't have any money. People send me money. So like this is just kind of her whole thing. And then finally she gets like land in Sweden, and that finally makes her financially stable. So she's got her art and stuff that she had collected. So she is in 1689. She's 62 years old and becomes very ill. Apparently, she had at some point developed diabetes. And so she ends up with a staph infection and pneumonia. And she dies on April 19th, 1689.
That's still kind of a long life, especially for back then.
Yeah, 62. And imagine how dirty and gross everything was. And you're sleeping with your cousin. I mean...
And a cardinal.
So her burial, though, is a big deal. It's just as extravagant as her life was. She gets taken to St. Peter's Basilica.
Oh, wow.
Where she was buried within the Grotta Vatican. Do you know what that is? Catholic person?
It's a Vatican grotto, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. So probably the tombs.
Yeah.
Popes are buried down there and saints.
Yes, exactly. So she's one of 3 women who were ever given the honor of being buried in the Basilica.
Wow.
In the Vatican. So she had named Azzolino as her sole heir. And so he gets everything from her and would have been set up for life, except he's also very ill.
Oh,
and
geez.
He dies in June that same year.
Oh, wow. And
I think he had a nephew, and the nephew is the one who ends up inheriting everything, and he just immediately sells all her shit.
Oh my God.
Like all these really incredible works of art, and like
he's like, boom, gone.
Yeah, he's like, I just want that fucking money.
Jeez.
So he just gets rid of all of it. So she's dead. But she lives on as like a really fascinating person. So I'm going to talk about a couple of things that people were really fascinated about her. One was her appearance. So I talked about her like unkempt hair and whatever, but she also had like a hunched shoulder, which she says was because she thinks when she was born, a nurse dropped her and it broke her shoulder and it was never fixed.
Ugh.
And she also, according to some people, had a deformed chest.
What?
But I don't know what that means.
Maybe it has to do with her bone not being reset.
Yeah, maybe
So
she
she might have had a divot or
some kind of impression or something. So she had been known for like wearing kind of masculine clothing, but after she met Azzolino, again a cardinal, she started wearing dresses that were so low cut that the Pope had to reprimand her.
Oh, jeez.
They talked about her décolletage.
Oh.
Which was a word, one of my vocabulary words when I was an 8th grade teacher. That was one of our words. And it just means like you can see a girl's breasts. Mm-hmm. That's how low the neckline is.
It looks booby.
Yeah. As an elderly woman, she shaved her head.
What?
And wore like a dark wig, big dark wig. And they said that she walked like a man and wore men's clothing, particularly when she got older.
Wow.
So another object of fascination, and I didn't bring this up earlier because I wasn't sure if it was necessary to talk about.
Okay.
But remember how when she was first born, they thought she was a boy?
Yeah.
Well, now people think maybe she was intersex.
Okay.
Meaning that she had the genitalia of both.
Yeah.
Or in some way had both. Throughout, and she would speak frequently throughout her life of like these really cryptic things about her constitution.
Constitution.
Yeah,
in
being
parentheses.
Like different and weird. I don't know what that meant, but she said in her memoir, if I remember correctly, that she wasn't a man. She was like, "I'm not a man." I was like, oh, well, but you know, if you're intersex, that doesn't mean you're a man.
Yeah, it might just be how she identifies.
Yeah. Because of all of the speculation, though, about her body, like people are like, I think she's intersex. It goes on for years. So in 1965, they exhume her remains.
Oh my God, what a violation.
To check it.
Are you kidding me?
Isn't that the worst?
That is the worst.
Like, who cares? Why do you care? Why is it even, like, why do you need to know the answer to that? But of course, it's like dust. I mean, you know, like the remains are not even really much there. I mean, it's been 200 years or 300 years by the time that they exhume her body.
All right.
So this anthropologist or whatever is like looking at her body and it's like, I can't really tell. So they did all of that for fucking nothing.
Did they put her back?
Yeah, they put her back. And the anthropologist or whoever it was that was like looking at her remains was like, well, you can't really tell on a skeleton what the external stuff looked like. Well, obviously.
Yeah, that's a fact. You don't need to dig up her body to know that.
Yeah, you didn't need to do that. And then another...
And who the fuck cares?
Yeah, like I said, like, we don't need to know. It's none of our business.
If she wanted you to know, you'd know.
Yeah. And she, like I said, she had been writing a memoir. She never finished it because she got too ill. So, but she had said in her things, like, all the shit you have heard is not true. And then another person said, like, during her, like, after she had died, was like, there's no way because she menstruated. But I don't really know enough about that to know whether or not, like, that could rule it out. Mm-hmm. But again, it's not my business if she was intersex or not. And I also was like, after I did all my research and they kept talking about her as the lesbian queen. Mm-hmm. And I was like, but she was fucking that dude. Like, she's not a lesbian. Mm-hmm. She didn't identify as a lesbian.
No. She
had, like, female lovers. I think there was another one that they mentioned at some point, too. She could be bisexual. Mm-hmm.
That's okay.
That's a thing, guys. It
doesn't have to be this box or this box.
It exists, guys. You can be more than just into one gender. You can be into all of the genders.
Like how she was so into... It seemed like she's very open to things, especially with like her education and her love of art and her dabbling with theater and things like that. It's like, she might have tried on a hat or two. I
think she did a lot of things, you know. I mean, like I said, like sometimes she was wearing men's clothes and sometimes she'd be like, look at my boobies. So
She sounds like me.
She was, I think, the kind of person that just was like, you can't define me. I don't need a box. Mm-hmm. And this was in the 1620s.
Wow. That is awesome.
So I got most of my information from Wikipedia, Encyclopedia Britannica, and ThoughtCo.
All right. And also, I'm going to mention where I got my information from Britannica, history.com, Channel Swimming Association, because there is an English Channel Swimming Association, Wikipedia, the Sports Hall of Fame, and American Girl, a biography of Gertrude.
Very cool.
Yeah.
I liked what we were doing today with our stuff.
Yeah, you do?
I did. Nice job.
Way to pull through that hangover.
Oh my God. I'm like ready for a nap and also something to eat. I heard your stomach growling. I feel like the microphone could pick that up.
If it did, it did. Yeah. I'm a classic. I don't eat till like 4 p.m. I gotta stop doing that. Yeah.
Also, guys, if you eat breakfast first thing in the morning, you're actually going to improve your metabolism. You'll burn calories faster and blah, 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 and you'll have more energy. Eat breakfast. That's your lesson of the day.
All right,
Bye,
guys.
kids.